Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's the Wrestling Classic. Justin here, and we are back at the TWC Show. Unfortunately, my man Devin cannot make it this week, but we got a co-host. We still got a co-host because every week I promised you guys I'd have a co-host, and this week we got my homeboy Ankit, huge wrestling fan. Only learned about that about a year ago, but huge wrestling fan. He was down there in Seattle with me when I went to Monday Night Raw a couple of months ago. If you guys remember, I was front row on Monday Night Raw, just dancing to the New Day and whatnot. They were sitting right there beside me. And we're gonna break down a lot of stuff this week, man. We're gonna talk about Clash of Champions. We're gonna talk about Raw. We're gonna talk about Smackdown, and then I want to just break down the world of wrestling with Ankit. But Ankit, introduce yourself, man. How are you? What's going on?
Good, man.
How's life?
Happy to be here.
Happy to be here. Good. I've been trying to get you on the show for months.
Yes. After G1.
And during the whole G1 because I wasn't watching it, and you were sending me snaps of you religiously watching it however you could. You even sent me a New Japan World login. You're like, check it out.
I'm like, you have to watch.
And unfortunately, I never did log in and watch it. And we're gonna talk all about that. But and that's the thing that I really wanted you on here for, is because you're such a fan of most of the time we watch AEW, watch WWE. I watch some Ring of Honor here and stuff. But you watch New Japan, and I feel like you're almost a bigger New Japan fan than you might be a WWE fan. Or where do you stand on that?
Not quite. New Japan, I'm a Jericho fan. Yeah. So the whole Jericho, when he showed up in New Japan late 2017, that's kind of when I started following it. It kind of just progressed from there. Mm-hmm. But I never really followed it. I didn't get a subscription to New Japan World until earlier this year, January.
Oh, okay. So I've technically been watching it longer than you have.
You've probably been watching it longer than I have. But
because my thing with New Japan was obviously as a kid, once again, I have an older brother that had magazines from the 80s and the 90s, flipping through the non-WWE magazines, the Rampage magazines or Pro Wrestling Illustrated, because I had those magazines and stuff too, and you'd see the Japanese stuff. So I was kind of aware of what was going on all the time. But, I grew up on WWE, WWF at the time, and WCW. That's what I had on VHS tapes. That's what I rented from Jumbo Video or Blockbuster. That's what I watched on TV was Raw and Nitro, and then SmackDown, and, as it goes on. But I always knew kind of what New Japan was, and then when YouTube and stuff came out, I started diving into some of this old Japan stuff, and a lot of it was all Japan Pro Wrestling, some of it was New Japan Pro Wrestling, seeing Hogan out there, seeing Savage wrestle Ric Flair out there, watching those matches. And then it wasn't around, I started the Wrestling Classic in 2014, and that was also the same time the Bullet Club was formed, 2013, 2014, with Prince Devitt and, what's his name? I don't want to say Bad Luck Fale. I think it is Bad Luck Fale.
It's Bad Luck Fale.
And those guys, and Carl Anderson and whatnot. And when I started the Wrestling Classic, it was mainly just old school wrestling. I wanted to keep up with what was going on with the WWE and Impact and Ring of Honor and the stuff I knew about. But a lot of people would talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling, for the internet, on Instagram. It was a big thing, New Japan this, New Japan that, Bullet Club this, Prince Devitt, he's the man, Prince Devitt, he's the man. And shout out to a couple of pages out there, this guy named Hyro. He used to have this page called The Wrestling God, and Curbside Hero Mac. They would talk about New Japan so much, the struggles, my boy Ryan with the Spotlight Series podcast, that they kind of brought me back into watching it. And so around 2015, 16, 17, ever since I've been kind of keeping up, and I think it was the best time to get back into it. But we're going to talk all about New Japan in a bit. That was one of the reasons I really wanted on here, is because you've been watching this, this is probably the first year I haven't really been paying attention. And there's multiple reasons why. Maybe it has to do with the Elite not really being there anymore. Mm-hmm. Maybe it has to do with the Bullet Club thing kind of dying down. I don't know. We'll break more into that later, because I want to talk about the state of professional wrestling to cap this podcast off. But more about yourself. When did you start watching wrestling? What were your first memories?
Honestly, for as long as I can remember, my earliest memory is probably Revenge. Growing up.
The video game?
The video game.
Okay, it's fair enough.
My cousins would have Revenge. I'd go there every weekend.
Yeah.
That's literally what we would do.
Were you more of a WCW, NWO Revenge fan, or a No Mercy fan?
So I had the best of both worlds.
Okay.
My dad's side was WCW.
Oh, okay. This is a family thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow.
So I got to see both sides.
So what, as a kid, for me, it flip-flopped a lot. It was weird because, I said, I had an older brother. So I was really familiar with the Macho Mans and the Hulk Hogans and the Bret Harts of the world. So when I saw those guys in WCW, those were even the guys that my parents knew, and they were yeah, but as a kid, also a huge Bret Hart fan, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, Stone Cold and The Rock. It was really divided. And then also being a kid during that time, I technically wasn't allowed to watch WWF. Like I had to sneak around to watch the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Like find the TV in the house when nobody's sitting there, and because Val Venus and The Godfather was all this stuff that flew over my head as a kid, but my parents knew exactly what was going on. But I was allowed to watch WCW because it was Hulk Hogan, it was the Macho Man, it was the guys they knew from the 80s when wrestling was wholesome, you know. So I watched both, I enjoyed both. But what did you lean more towards?
The WWF.
Yeah.
Mainly because it was more accessible.
Mm-hmm.
As a kid, you'd have, what was it, TSN?
Yeah.
That had every
Had both, didn't it?
It had both, but the Nitro was on replay, I think.
Thunder came on Superstation.
TBS.
Yeah, Superstation. I remember like they do the commercials sometimes between TV shows. Like last week on Thunder, I used to love those. And then Nitro used to also come on TSN, did it not?
It did.
I remember.
I just, again, my memory is not all there, but I'm pretty sure that whatever it was always WWE. It was always Raw. Every Monday was Raw.
Yeah, because you know what's weird? I don't know if any of you other Canadians out there that might be listening to this, like, confirm this with me, because I was really young. But I almost feel like every week we talk about, everybody talks about the Monday Night Wars, but there was some point during that, like, for us in Canada, it wasn't at the same time. I think Nitro, like, there was a point, almost I think that Nitro started coming on Wednesdays.
Exactly.
And Raw was on Monday still. I don't know, in Canada. Like,
yeah.
I think that was later, like 99 or something. It started being like Nitro's on Wednesdays or something. And
that's from what I remember. I missed that whole peak. So that whole NWO 96.
I'm trying to remember during the peak, like what channel was it? Also on TSN? Because I do remember them being on the same time. At one point I'm like, oh, but Raw comes on Mondays and Nitro comes on Wednesdays. Oh, and the coolest thing I remember about WWF, because we weren't allowed to watch it. Yeah. This is something I remember specifically because I used to always do this. So back in Canada, back in the 90s, like in the Attitude Era, 97, 98, 99, 2000. By 2000, I was allowed to watch it. They didn't care no more. But 98, 99, like those are like dark. Like I watch Raws on the network from those years now, and there's still some stuff I don't remember because I wasn't allowed to watch WWF back then. But like I remember like on Mondays it would come on, right? It'd come on at 6 and it'd come again on 9 or whatever. But on the next day, like on Tuesday, it would come on again at 2 p.m. On the same channel, like TSM to play it again, like at like 2 p.m. So you could watch it like right after school. Like you'd miss like the first half hour, but you'd watch it right after school. And I'm like, yo, that was the sneakiest thing ever for me, because I'm like, oh, nobody's home at that point. It's just my sister, me, and my brother.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, oh, I can watch Raw. And I only went that midway through. So like if I didn't watch it Mondays, I'd watch it next. And this wasn't like I was on the internet and everything was spoiled for me back then. It was still fresh. Unless somebody told me stuff at school.
Exactly.
That was a time where you'd go to school and people would be like, did you see what Stone Cold did yesterday?
That was the whole excitement behind it.
Oh, it was so much fun. Yeah. And it was crazy because like I have friends today I'm still really good friends with, who have been my friends since I was like 6 years old, man. And they probably have not watched wrestling since the year 2002. Yeah. But growing up with them, they were rocking Stone Cold shirts and they were a part of the vibe and stuff too. And they always come to me and like, Justin, we can't believe you love this stuff still. I'm like, I never grew out of it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the same way.
Yeah, it's different. But yeah, man. So you were more of a WWF guy.
So I was more exposure to it. Again, I was a big fan of Kevin Nash growing up. So the whole Outsiders and Skull Hall.
Yeah.
But towards the end, and we just talked about this a little while ago about the New Blood Rising.
Yeah.
My first event. But that was again towards the tail end of it. So
a lot of people, man, like don't worry, WWF started winning the war. Yeah. Mid-98, 100%. Yep. Was the better product, was fun to watch. But like WCW wasn't bad. Was it a mess? Was it very chaotic? Yeah. But it wasn't horrible.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of talent. They had stories. I think like if you had to choose back then, maybe WWF would have been the choice. But watching it back in the network, like I know I watched up until I think right after the New Blood versus Millionaires. Once that storyline ended, like that, I was done with WCW. Yeah. By the time they closed the doors, I actually wasn't watching anymore. Like I don't know what the hell was going on. But I posted a couple of days ago, for those of you that I hope you follow me on the Wrestling Classic, that Thunder episode where they had that Battle Royal, Guerrilla Warfare, and Macho Man showed up at the end, and Bret Hart, and I'm like, I specifically remember watching that on TV. Like I specifically remember sitting in my living room on a black couch getting so excited that Macho Man showed up out of nowhere, and then Bret Hart showed up, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Yeah. I got older and I'm like, wow, this is a clusterfuck. But as a kid, it was exciting and it was fun to watch. Like I didn't care so much about the storylines. Exactly. I didn't care about the politics. Yeah. I didn't care. I just cared about the characters and seeing them and this is happening. Like I didn't care about how the show started and finished or who was the champion. Like I was just so into like what was happening. Like, yo, that's a Macho Man. What the hell, Hulk Hogan? Oh my God, Macho Man and Hogan are together again. Like I was so hyped. Like And I think that's the difference. And I think sometimes as we sit here and people analyze wrestling, they do podcasts like this, like us, like other fans, like other people in the business that, you know, every week we're talking about what happened and what's wrong and what's good. Like at the end of the day, for kids, man, it's just enjoyable to watch. And sometimes I think we forget that. That's like what we complain about, so these kids are just hyped to see it. Like we might sit and be like, you know, like for example, one of the greatest things that happened this week on Raw was Austin hit the stunner on AJ Styles. And he didn't hit a stunner on anybody at Raw Reunion. Yeah. But for little kids, man, just him being at Raw Reunion was cool. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. It brought the child out of me too.
Yeah. But we'll get all into that. Who was your favorite wrestler growing up?
Growing up, Triple H.
Really?
Yeah.
You're a Triple H guy,
I was a Triple H fan. Very specifically, I started watching around the time him in China, and then when the whole Stephanie McMahon
99.
angle, that's the time I can remember.
Yeah.
But on the other side, when Jericho came, I was watching that episode.
Oh, were you?
When he debuted. Because I never knew what the countdown was until way later, and we didn't have the internet.
No, that's the thing. And they kept playing it throughout the weeks.
Exactly. And like, what is this? What is this? And when it finally happened, I was like, whoa, this guy's so cool.
I don't think, because it happened so long ago now, and we were so young. Yeah. So things that happened more recently, we have more. I don't think we appreciate how great that was at the time.
Absolutely not.
Even when I posted, I'm like, that was sick. But I'm like, I was a little kid. I was like, what, 8? Yeah. I was 8 years old. And that happened. I remember watching it, but I was like, and I knew who Jericho was. Yeah. I loved his, once again, I had an older brother that watched wrestling, so I was watching with him. I always used to watch Nitro and Thunder, and I thought Jericho was funny when he was doing the conspiracy stuff and whatnot. And then when he showed up in WWE, I'm like, it's not the fact that he showed up, that was cool, but the appreciation for the countdown and how they brought him in.
The whole Millennium Man.
Yeah,
thing.
That was so smart.
Awesome. The way I don't know if you've seen the backstory behind how he saw that. It was in the post office.
Yeah, and it was Jericho's idea, and he pitched it to them, and they loved it. And don't get me wrong, I was 8. I know there was that whole Y2K scare.
Yeah.
But I wasn't scared. I was 8. So
I was 5 and I had no idea what that was.
I didn't know, and it was it was just. So now looking back, I'm like, that's brilliant. Yeah. That's such good stuff. So Jericho was a guy you're a big fan of.
Jericho, big fan.
Triple H. So you're a little bit younger than me. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair game. So that's also good to know. Yeah.
So a lot of the stuff that you guys would probably know that you grew up with is well past my time.
Because my first live experience of WWE, watching on TV, because I had tapes, so I watched all this 80s stuff. My brother had all these TNT episodes and primetime wrestling and early Monday Night. I had Monday Night Raw from 1994 till 1998, missing an episode here or there, recorded on tape.
That's crazy.
You know, and then all these pay-per-views SummerSlam and all that, I had them all on tape. Plus all the early SummerSlams, all that. So everyone's like, "Why are you such a big Macho Man fan?" I'm like, I grew up watching Macho Man as if it was
you were there.
I was there because that's all I knew. Exactly. Right? That's what he stood out to me. I'm like, he's my favorite, and the Undertaker, and then Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, and then but my first, it had to be those two memories, and it was around the same time. It was 1996. Those are my first actual memories, and I'm sure I watched wrestling before that. Yeah. But I don't remember.
Can't remember, yeah.
I remember one was the King of the Ring free-for-all, and it was Yokozuna versus Stone Cold, and we're watching the free-for-all, and Yokozuna wanted to do the bonsai drop, and the ropes broke. That always stuck in my head. I mean, something about Yokozuna, because the other thing I remember very vividly, and I have this on VHS too, so it might have been just because I watched it a bunch of times, but I also feel like I remember watching this episode live, and one of the first episodes I remember watching live, it was Yokozuna versus Shawn Michaels, and Shawn was the champ. And that match will always stand out to me. I posted it not too long ago. I actually posted it a year ago too in the Weekend then commented, which was cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, but so clearly he was watching at the same time. Shout out to the Weekend and Cash. But yeah, man, 96 is my earliest memory, watching Raw live. And since then it's been
Who was your go-to guy?
When I was younger?
Yeah.
Live,
besides Macho Man.
So Macho, anytime Macho even when he was Madness Macho, NWO Macho, anytime that dude came on my screen, I'm like, this guy's the man. Yeah. But Bret.
Yeah.
Bret was my guy. And I think there's two things about Bret and Taker. Taker, because it's Macho Man, he captured my imagination. I was like, who? Macho Man, why does this guy talk like this? Why is he so colorful? Who is this guy? He's weird, and I dig it. That was Macho Man to me, right? Taker scared the crap out of me, but I couldn't stop looking. One of those situations, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This guy scared, because when I initially saw Taker, he was a good guy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this guy scares the crap out of me, but he's a good guy.
Right. That was what, back in
96? He was feuding Mankind scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Mankind scared the crap out of me more than Undertaker scared the crap out of me.
Really?
Because
he had a slower song back in the day too, right?
That, and then the fact that Taker was technically a good guy, Mankind was the bad guy.
Okay.
And as a kid, I believed that shit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No,
like,
for sure.
Like, I was more scared of Mankind than I was the Undertaker.
Yeah.
But like my hero, like Macho, like captured my imagination. Undertaker captured my imagination. But my hero would have been like Bret Hart.
Okay.
And I think it's because my brother was a huge Bret Hart fan. He was just like, Bret was cool, man, and he was fun to watch in the ring.
Yeah.
I can't tell this day a bad Bret Hart match.
That's fair.
Like, I can't.
He's
I mean, we could talk about like him versus like Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 26 when he was an old man and retired already. But I mean, like in his like in that first initial run all the way up till 1999, like I can't tell you a bad Bret Hart match.
It's hard to say. You were also around the time though when people were going back and forth.
Oh, I was.
People were leaving WWF to go to WCW.
I was, and I saw, and that's what I mean. Like even with my family, like I grew up watching Savage and Hogan and stuff. So when these guys, wow, this podcast went a whole different direction than it was supposed to go. But when these guys, this is like an interview on me now. When these guys started jumping ship, like, you know, like that's what I mean. Like I saw them as WWF guys. So when my parents and everybody saw them in WCW, it's like, oh, you can watch this because like my brother grew up the biggest Hulkamaniac.
Right.
Like he was born in 1981. Like he was Hulk Hogan's target market. Like he was a Hulkamaniac from a child up until
prime.
Yeah, and like for my brother's life, wrestling worked in the perfect order for him. Yeah. When he was a kid, it was like cheesy 80s, colorful Hulkamania era. When he was going to become a teenager, started getting cool with the NWO, Austin, The Rock, and stuff. And then when that all ended, he stopped watching wrestling and he grew up.
Yeah. And you see that though a lot with a lot of the guys.
I'm like, he had that perfect one. Like he was the college teenage student when that stuff was caught. He was a little kid when it was corny and cheesy. Yeah. Like he grew up with it the right way. And I kind of feel like I was fortunate to have that same experience almost through him because of him. But anyways, he was a huge Hulkamaniac. Mm-hmm. My family loved, since he was a huge wrestling fan, so like my family like loved Hogan and stuff too. Yeah. They loved Savage and stuff. So yeah, I was around when all the jumping back and forth was happening. So, but once again, my actual memories started at like 1996. Everything else was just things I watched that happened already.
Got it.
After the fact. But 96 was like live. This is new to me. So when NWO happened, when Hogan turned into a bad guy, that hit the household hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But for people that weren't alive during that time, and I was a kid, but like just reading off my brother and like other people that were alive during that time, like, look, we're still wearing NWO merch till this day. Shout out to Chalkline and Wrestling for Sale for the hat. But like, it was a big deal, man.
You can just tell, even till this day, like anytime I talk to my older cousins, they always say that was like a defining moment.
Oh, it was huge.
And for them, that was like that was a cool thing.
Because I think a lot of those kids that grew up in the 80s watching wrestling, when it came around to 1994 and 1995, they kind of stopped watching because it wasn't that. It was kind of like, this is too cheesy. But when the NWO thing happened, it's like, oh, this is something we can sink our teeth into, and this is kind of cool. Like, we can talk about this, and it's like not like you're talking about wrestling. Like, no, Hulk Hogan's a bad guy.
Yeah.
What? Like, now everyone's tuning in. You know?
No, it makes sense.
But yeah, no, it was those are my 1996 was the first year. Like, it's just weird, man. But anyways, yeah. So Bret, let me get back to that. Bret was my favorite. I thought he was the coolest guy in the world. He was Canadian. I also lived through the Hart Foundation thing, where I thought the Hart Foundation was like the coolest stable. Like a big Owen fan, big Bulldog fan, big Brian Pillman fan. Neidhart was a man, so huge Bret fan. And so when I was like around, so that was like 97, because it was before we went to WCW. Or maybe it was, I don't know, it was 97, 98. So maybe it was in WCW, maybe it was in WWF. But we went to go meet Bret Hart at a Dunkin' Donuts. I don't know if I've told the story on the show. Have I told the story on the show already, Sonia? Okay, because I know I've told you the story. I don't know if I told, and I know Devin already knows the story, but and if you follow me on Instagram, you might have heard the story before. But I went to go meet Bret Hart at a Dunkin' Donuts here in Vancouver, and I was like 6 or 7 years old. Okay, and me and my brother, my mom, my sister, we all go to meet Bret Hart, whatever, right? Stand in line. It's a huge ass lineup. Almost thought we weren't gonna see him, because you know that's happened before. You stand in line for things so long, and by the time you get there, it's like, oh no, he's leaving now. We get to the front, and my brother goes to meet Bret. My sister goes to meet Bret. My mom's holding me. I'm a kid, and start crying. I was so scared to meet him, like so intimidated to meet Bret Hart. He still signed my thing. I remember I have it at home and stuff, but like I never like properly got to meet him. You know what I mean? Right. Like in my entire life, like in the past 4 or 5 years, I've been very fortunate to meet a lot of wrestlers and to meet a bunch of these wrestlers and have conversations. But like from being a kid to like 5 years ago, that wasn't the case. You don't meet them that often.
Exactly.
You know, like when I wasn't the wrestling class, like I didn't really meet wrestlers. I didn't go to as many shows as I go to now. Like So, like, I never really had the opportunity to meet Bret again. And if I did, like, I missed them. I don't know. It just never happened again. And then last year in New Orleans, I go to WrestleMania. And I was supposed to go to Media Row. I was like, and we got pushed back. Someone in the company was trying to help me go to Media Row with them as their guest. But he's like, no, I'm getting pushed back. Like, sorry, bro, I can't get you in. And I was like, what am I supposed to do today then? Because I suited up and everything. And this is the New Orleans WrestleMania weekend. So anyways, I was like, okay, fine. I guess I'm not going to Media Row. And all of my buddies I was staying with, like my buddy Mitch guys and Scott and Tyler and Steven and all them, they were at WrestleCon. And I had no plans or intended to go to WrestleCon. I don't know. This is my first WrestleMania since, I went to WrestleMania 32. We did WrestleCon, kind of, but I wasn't planning to do it this year. This was like a last minute trip to New Orleans. Like the story, if I was going to tell this full story, the whole story is like the struggle behind being the Wrestling Classic before. This story is about that. Like, I was sleeping on the floor of the hotel room. My gig was to make sure there's beer there. Like, I was barely not supposed to be there. I got rejected for Media Row, like, literally the week before WrestleMania. So I had to, like, book a flight last minute, get WrestleMania tickets last minute. Like, nothing was planned for this trip. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, the WrestleMania, you need to go with cool stuff. Like, no, I make the stuff happen. I don't get to just do it. No one's giving me stuff. I'm not a millionaire. Like this, yeah, like, I'm just a go-getter. I want to make this stuff happen. So anyways, I'm in New Orleans, and I was supposed to go to Media Row. I suited up. I got ready to go and everything. And I got there. No, I'm getting pushed back. Sorry, bro, I can't get you in. So I'm like, okay, so what do I do? So I'm like, okay, I'll go to WrestleCon. Danielle's there, Summer Rae. I was like, we made a deal to swap T-shirts anyway. She doesn't give me one of her shirts. I was going to give her a Wrestling Classic shirt. I'm like, yeah, I'll go meet up with her. And AJ, Lady Kane, she was there. She wanted me to do something for some high snobbery documentary she was doing. So I was like, okay, I'll meet up with her too, and maybe I'll do something for a vintage CE thing. So I went there, and I just out of like, with no thought process in it, I just kind of threw on this jacket. It was a Bret Hart Stone Cold Chalkline jacket, WrestleMania 13 special. Like, that's my favorite match of all time, if anyone's wondering. And we go to WrestleCon and whatever. Like, honestly, I wish I could go back and do it again sometimes for little reasons. There's reasons why I wish I did that and reasons why I don't. Because the experience was amazing. I went and met Ric Flair. He knew who I was. It was so cool. This was right after his health scare in 2017. So I was like, man, I got to meet Flick. Didn't even, like, I went there and I was like, I'm here now. Like, I might as well go meet people and do stuff. Like, this was not on my plan. This was not on the agenda. It's not on my weekend plan. This was a spontaneous, well, I guess I'm not going there, so I guess I'm doing this now. Taking a negative and trying to make a positive out of it, right? That's what I do. That's the story of my life. So I go there and whatever, I do meet Ric Flair and stuff. And then one of the things that I regret is I walked past the Young Bucks, and they had a huge lineup too. And I just stopped, and Matt Jackson has followed the Wrestling Classic for years now, and I just want to say, like, thanks for following. I'm like, hey, I just want to introduce myself really quick, and I'm like budging in front of the line, okay? And at this point, I already met Bret, and the reason I didn't want to budge a line is because I met Bret in a very special way. Let's tell that story first, okay? So I stand in line for Bret. I'm sweating. It's so hot in this place. I stand in line for Bret. And I'm wearing the jacket. And I'm like, oh, man, should I take this jacket off? And then the guy behind me is like, oh, why don't you get the jacket signed? Didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah. Genius.
Didn't even cross my mind that I'm wearing this Bret Hart Austin jacket. I should probably get it signed. If this guy didn't say anything, it probably wouldn't have happened. Anyways, Bret kept leaving and coming back. And at one point he walks past. And I did walk past him once. And I was wearing a Wrestling Classic. And I kind of showed him. And he kind of pointed at me. He's like, oh, like, you recognize the Wrestling Classic. Yeah. He has the shirt himself. Him, Dallas, and Blade have rocked the shirts. Made it really cool. I've done giveaways with Bret. I've hung out with his kids. When Dallas was here in Vancouver, I took him out and stuff. I got Bret to give one of my best friends a shout out for his engagement because I took one of my friends to a show back in like 2013, and he wasn't that big of a wrestling fan anymore. But it was the 2013 Slammies. So Bret came out to present a Slammy or something, and this guy was screaming Bret's name out the top of his lungs, like Bret was gonna hear him. And I'm like, yo, that's what I love. Like, you're not even that big of a wrestling fan anymore, but Bret Hart came out that you got so excited that you screamed like you're 6 years old again, and that's why, this is what I love about wrestling, that you can do that.
Exactly.
So fast forward, that was 2013, fast forward to like 2017, my buddy's getting engaged. Haven't talked to him in like probably 5 years, to be honest. Like, we're not that close anymore. Like, we kind of drifted apart. Life happens. Still really think of him like a brother. He's one of my, like, I still consider him as one of my best friends growing up. And I saw that he got engaged. I wasn't even at the engagement, so that tells you a lot. Like, but just the genuine side of my heart's like, you know what, man, like, I'm gonna surprise him with a Bret Hart shout out. So I messaged Bret's wife, and we got the thing done, and I got a shout out, and Bret was rocking the Wrestling Classic shirt in the shout out and everything too. And I sent that to my buddy, and he's like, what the hell? And like, his fiance, who I also know back in the day, I haven't talked to her in years, random phone number calls me, and just like, holy crap. And I'm like, oh. So Bret like knew who I was.
Right,
like there's already been so many like interactions of like we knew who we were, but we've never met.
Okay.
I met his kids. I talked to his wife. I've even talked to him, but we've never met.
Right.
So when I walked past him, I showed him my shirt. He's like, "Oh, the Wrestling Classic, right?" And then I jumped in line because like any normal proper human being, I'm gonna stand in line. I'm not gonna skip the line or something, right? But anyways, he walks by. I'm like, "Oh man, you keep leaving." And he's like, "Why are you standing in line?" And he pulled me out of the lineup and took me to the front.
Damn.
And then we sat down, and we shook hands. And we had a conversation. And these signings, they try to get you in and out real fast. We had a conversation. He's like, "Oh, how'd your friend like the shout out? Like, oh, Dallas had a great time when he came down there, and yada yada yada." And then he's like, signing the jacket. And these guys are only contracted to sign their name. Right. So he signed his name. And the lady tried pulling it away. He's like, "No." And then he didn't even best match ever.
That's awesome.
Right. And then we kept talking, and he's like, he talking to me by name. He's like, "Justin, like, so great to meet you." Like, da, da, da. So the whole point of this entirely long story is that I met this guy when I was like 6 and I cried and I never met him. Yeah. Flash forward like 10, 20 years later, actually 20 years, so it would have been 1998. This was 2018. He knew me by name. He pulled me on he knew who I was.
Crazy.
That's nuts, right?
Wrestling. And
this is my hero. Like, and listen, I don't like mark out or fan around, like get really like starstruck around current superstars and stuff because like we're basically like the same age now. Like, I'd rather just have a beer with you. But like when I see the guys I grew up watching, like the Stone Colds and the Shawn Michaels and the Ric Flairs, like that's different because I grew up watching these guys and those I look at them differently. The way I look at like a Randy Orton or a Sheamus, like it's different. Like I want to be like buddies with you guys. Like, let's be cool, let's be friends. But I look at those guys and I'm just like, Bret was my hero. Going like I met you when I was 6 and I cried. Now I met you and you knew my name, and you pulled me up. Like that's so cool, man. It's crazy how life can work if you just try.
Seriously,
you just
the wrestling class
step out of your comfort zone and try. And back to the Young Bucks story. I walked past them, and then I introduced myself. And they're like, "Oh, how's it going, man?" Like, because he recognizes the Wrestling Classic, and he liked the page. And then I was like, "I can't skip the line." I'm like, "I just skipped the line over there, man. I don't want to skip the line. You guys are a real long line. I just really want to introduce myself." And now when I look back, I'm like, I probably should talk to them.
Probably.
A little bit longer.
Yeah.
Probably should have taken more of advantage of that situation.
Regrets.
Mostly that Matt recognized me and he was like, "Hey, yeah, no, your page is great." I'm like, I can't talk to you guys. You guys, so many people wait. I felt bad.
Yeah.
Like I genuinely felt bad. I'm like, I don't want to skip because I know when Bret pulled me online, took me in front, I saw how people looked at me. Like, who the? Like, you know what I mean? Like
the envy.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't want to different situation, but that was the one thing. But anyways, Bret Hart was my guy. That was my story.
Nice.
I met him when I was 6. I cried. Didn't meet him properly. Didn't shake his hand. Didn't even go near the guy. My mom held me the whole time. To him pulling me out the line, sitting me down, knowing my name, having a conversation, like we've known each other for years, and it was weird how life works that way.
Seriously,
you know,
so lucky.
It's fucking weird.
I've never met wrestlers either.
That's right. Like Flair recognized who I was to him and his wife Wendy. They're like, "Oh, the wrestling page." Yeah. But like Bret was different because that story. Because like I'm a huge Flair fan too, but Bret, like the fact that I tried to meet him when I was a kid, and that like I just think that story is what it is. But yeah, man, I think we should talk about what we came here to talk about. Clash of Champions, bro. These guys want the Clash of Champions predictions. And we should really break that down. Yeah, man.
How many matches is there?
There's quite a few. We'll just run down the card and we'll give our predictions. And I think, we'll do that because people are going to want to know what we think. I took a lot of time talking about stories and stuff. But it is what it is. But before we get there, I just want to give a quick shout out to my boys at Maestro Classic, man. They are the bearded legends, man. The maestros of beards in the WWE, man. If you look at everybody's beards out there, if you look at Braun Strowman, Triple H, Kofi Kingston, anybody that's facial and haircuts or anything, that is all handled by Maestro Classic. They were just backstage this past weekend in Madison Square Garden, cutting everybody's hair, making sure everyone looked fresh. Their beard wash and beard butter is the best in the beard care game, and undeniably good in keeping your beard clean and conditioned, man. So you can find them in Target. You can buy their products on maestroclassic.com. Use my promo code TWC Maestro. You can save yourself some money when you shop online. I use it. I love it. And they're honestly like the greatest, the most nicest, kindest people in the world. Like, if anything, you should support them. Not only because their product is good, it's because they're great people, man. And good people should be supporting good people. They've done a lot for me. They our relationship is great. And I went to WrestleMania this year. I didn't have tickets for the show. Shout out to Maestro. I was at the show. You know what I mean? Like, so they're great people, and you guys should check out Maestro Classic. You can find them in Target if you live in the States and also online. And honestly, Ankit, man, if you ever grow your beard out, I'm telling you, this is the product you want to use, man. Like, so well. I haven't got a haircut for 2 weeks, but my beard feels great. You want to know why? Because I use Maestro products. So yeah, check them out, guys. Maestro Classic, maestroclassic.com. You can find them on Instagram, Maestro Classic too, and I post them all the time, so you guys probably already know. If you don't, now you do. Clash of Champions, man, this Sunday.
Yeah, man.
You ready? I'm not that excited.
Neither am I.
Like, if I'm being honest with you.
The only match I'm probably excited about is Sasha Banks.
No, 100%.
That's the only thing that actually got me hooked.
And if you've been listening to the show, and if you you don't have Instagram, but I'm a huge Sasha Banks fan, and she's the most exciting thing that's going on for me right now.
That's the reason that I'm paying attention.
That's like, if you want to say that match you're most excited for, that's it.
Yeah.
Another match I think might be really good, and I think like the wild card one that might pop out to me the most is the Revival versus the New Day.
Okay.
I think that might be a banger, but we'll talk about all that. We'll talk about all that. Let's start from the bottom. I'm just reading them off Wikipedia, so excuse me, I just burped. I'm just reading this on Wikipedia, so I'm just going off the order they have it on. So we're going to start from the bottom up. AJ Styles versus Cedric Alexander for United States Championship. I think this is going to be a banger. Could steal the show.
It'll be a good match.
Anytime AJ Styles in the match, exactly. I say it could steal the show.
Yeah.
Cedric's tremendous, talented dude.
He's shown a lot lately.
Yeah, and I'm glad he's getting the opportunities he's getting.
Of course.
How do you feel about this match?
AJ. That's going to be one of those matches that you won't really know what's going to happen given the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And the way that they've been kind of booking it.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. But those two together, even you saw on Monday what they did, given that in that tag team. And
I feel like we haven't seen him wrestle that. Like, I know we saw him have a kind of a one-on-one match this week, but I feel like we haven't seen him wrestle that much. Yeah. And Cedric's still kind of fresh, and they've been pairing AJ up with some really talented guys this past couple of months. Whether it's been Ricochet, whether it's Cedric, like, and I think he's able to elevate them. And like, you're facing a former WWE champion. AJ Styles in his few years in the company has become very established real fast. It's crazy, and I feel like you gotta consider his entire career over the past 18 years or whatever. Yeah. But his WWE career has only been like 3-4 years, and he's already like considered a guy that can be putting other guys over.
Oh, of course.
Which is
he was a legend before he got there.
That's the thing, and he got to in a really odd way. He got to come in as kind of a legend.
Yeah.
It's weird, and it's weird because that's not usually the case when it comes to WWE. Like, if you've never been there before, like, you've never been there before. Yeah. But unless you're like an old school guy like Sting, but AJ got that same kind of rub, and I think I'm gonna go with AJ too for this one. AJ Styles beats Cedric at this point. The next match on here is a women's tag title match. It's Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. I'm very happy Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville are finally getting a tag title shot. When these titles were introduced, I thought they were one of the teams that probably would have been champions a lot earlier than now.
How long has it been since Bliss and Cross have held them? A couple months?
I don't know, like 2-3 weeks maybe.
Oh, well, I'm way off. That just goes to show how much I'm paying attention to.
Because the Iconics like recently lost, and the Iconics held them for a very long time.
I remember that.
Right before SummerSlam, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross won them.
Okay.
Because they had the match on the Raw before SummerSlam rather than on SummerSlam.
And that was when the Iconics were like crying at ringside.
Yeah, and it was like an elimination match.
Right.
That's why.
Yeah.
4-way elimination. Then Nikki Cross and Alexa won. A match I think probably should have been on the card rather than Bayley versus Ember because nobody cared about that. But I would have rather had the Fatal 4-way women's tag title match on there than that. But I'm gonna go with Alexa and Nikki for now.
Yeah.
I think Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville will eventually get them.
Yeah.
But you gotta let Nikki and
Wasn't
Alexa
the original storyline with Cross and Bliss about how they couldn't work together and how eventually you could kind of see them?
No, it was more Alexa took Nikki under her wing, and everyone thought that it was Alexa was being fake and was just using Nikki and just going to turn on her. They tried to beat Bayley in a handicap match for the titles, and it wasn't working. It almost seemed like that was going to be the reason why Alexa But then they're still good, and now they're the women's tag team champions. I like it. I actually, when they kept them, I was like, these two need to be women's. Because the Iconics, I love them as an act. I was happy they won the tag titles. They held them for way too long.
Oh, yeah. They did. They
overstayed their welcome as women tag team because they don't need it either. Yeah. They're the same with or without them. Yeah, exactly. I'm glad they won them.
Yeah.
I would have been sad if they never did, but they didn't need to hold them for like 5 months.
That was a long time.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
It was good though. It's something fresh.
Yeah, so I'm still going to go with Alexa and Nikki. Not going to be upset if Mandy and Sonya win, but I think this is a rematch looming after this. This isn't maybe. I just mean like it's not the only time these two are going to face each other.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, for these tag titles, so let it run. This is the first of many matches, I think. Yeah. Next on this card is Roman Reigns versus Eric Rowan. So how do you feel about Eric Rowan?
It's different. He's he's kind of on his own now.
Yeah.
You've seen, with the Wyatt and all that before, and now he's with Daniel Bryan. I think he was a Harper for a while too.
Yeah. Well, I always associate Rowan with Harper.
Exactly.
Whether he's with the Wyatt family, like, so like, and what he's been saying in his promos kind of true, because you always thought of him as like the other guy.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was Harper and Rowan.
So
now it was Bray Wyatt and Rowan. It was Daniel Bryan with Rowan. Like,
no, for sure. Now he's on his own. He's kind of doing his thing, and we'll get to SmackDown later, but you can kind of see that the progression from there.
I think it's a big deal that he gets to initially work with Roman Reigns.
Big.
You know what I mean? Like, huge. That's showing that they got a lot of faith in trying to give him this opportunity.
Absolutely.
And the reason why I think this match might be good is because it's an opportunity for him.
Yeah.
This is a sink or swim situation.
You can really show it here.
Like, if this doesn't work out, maybe Roman's not the guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you're working with Roman, and it's kind of cool how they've kept Roman out of the title picture for this long.
He wasn't even at SummerSlam.
I know. He wasn't.
Yeah.
That
was interesting.
And I was talking about this on the other podcast I do, the Jerks podcast I do every once in a while, that, like, it's going to get a reaction when Roman's back in the title picture because he's been out of it for so long. But I'm not sure if it's going to be a good one or a bad one, because I still think it's going to be a bad one because the fans are the fans. But I'd be surprised if people would be interested in it, because it's like, because the thing is, Roman's at a point now in his career where if he gets inserted back in the title picture, it's, like, Roman's here. You know what I mean? Like,
because he hasn't had a run since he came back from his
no,
for the whole
the leukemia thing.
Yeah,
no.
So I think with that kind of behind him now, it's a little bit of a different scene, because before you could just imagine just being shoved down your throats and all that. Now it's not so much. Now it's kind of just take him out for a little while, let everyone else have their chance, and then him come back eventually, which I could see happening. I just
know when it happens. I just feel like the reaction's going to be, depending who the champion is. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. But I just think it's fascinating that, like, nobody can really complain. They've kept him. He's facing guys like Rowan. Yeah, he wasn't even on SummerSlam.
Exactly.
He was like feuding Shane for a bit. Like, there's nothing too like. But he's a guy that can't, like. It's kind of weird. Like, there was that period in 2017 when Jinder was a champion. Yeah. And then you had guys like AJ and Kevin Owens fighting for the U.S. title. You're like, shouldn't those guys be on the top of the card? Yeah. Nothing against Jinder, but like, it got kind of, like, that's kind of feels right now. Like, Kofi's a champ. Like, do you think Roman should be up there?
Exactly.
It's weird when they do this a lot on SmackDown, but I like it sometimes. Yeah. And Daniel Bryan, how great is he, man?
Oh, he's awesome. He's always been good. Ever since he came back, when he was allowed to wrestle again, he's just been awesome.
Like, how grateful should we be that, like, he was forced to retire and he got to come back? Like, imagine he never got to come back, because this run he's had. I'm not saying his run before wasn't great, it was, but this run's been tremendous. Whether it was, look how much he's done since he's been back. He's had the return of the Yes Movement, teamed with Shane, fought Owens and Zayn. Mm-hmm. He did stuff with his wife. Did the whole tag story with his wife against the Miz and Maurice. He got to do the Team Hell No things really shortly. Right. He's turned heel. He had a great program with Kofi Kingston. His character as a heel has been tremendous. He had the crazy cool belt that he made, the hemp belt. He got paired up with Rowan. Like, this whole run has been so good. Yeah. And it's made me appreciate Daniel Bryan, because we almost would have had none of this. And he was like the perfect guy. Like, he doesn't even need to, like, I almost think this is leading to being Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan still, like, some way. But
yeah, they'll figure it out somehow.
Or maybe it was supposed to be Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns the whole time, but Daniel Bryan's like, give Rowan a shot. Who knows?
It's possible. I don't know if I don't know how they're gonna kind of lead into it. Yeah. But I still think it's gonna be Daniel Bryan.
I just think he's so good. He's one of those guys, because there's a lot of guys, like, I love Sasha Banks to death. She's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. She's my favorite women's wrestler of all time for sure. And the one thing I always say, but I love watching her wrestle. Obviously her promos when she's a heel is a lot better when she's a babyface. But there is times where it seems like she's kind of uncomfortable on the mic. Yeah. Not that she's bad on the mic, she gets uncomfortable and she messes up words or this and that. Like, that happens. Like, maybe she's thinking about what she's supposed to say too much. But then there's certain guys who are just naturals when they're talking. When there's talking and they're cutting promos, you just believe it, because it doesn't seem like they're uncomfortable. They're comfortably just talking in their character. Yeah. Daniel Bryan's one of those guys.
He's one of those guys. You can tell he's not hesitant or anything.
It's smooth. It's just who his character. He knows who his character is and just says what he says. Yeah. Whether it's what the script is or whether he's winging it, like, it seems so comfortable.
So natural.
Where certain guys don't, like, Roman Reigns doesn't feel comfortable sometimes. Yeah. Sasha doesn't feel comfortable sometimes. Mm-hmm. Even Seth sometimes doesn't feel comfortable. Mostly when he's saying babyface stuff. But Daniel Bryan is one of, like, I think when it's all said and done, again, because we already thought it was all said and done, we already appreciated what he did, but we're gonna be like, whoa. It's like when Shawn Michaels had to retire and he came back for that second run, and that second run was tremendous. You can almost compare Daniel Bryan to that now.
For sure.
It's almost like the same story. Shawn was top guy. Yep. forced into retirement because of back injury, came back as a commissioner, left, and then came back to wrestle again. Daniel Bryan, forced to retire, came back as a GM, and then came back to wrestle again. The parallels. And he trained at Shawn Michaels School. So I don't know. Call it weird. Coincidence? It's weird. I'm going to skip Sasha and Becky for now really quickly because I think we're going to talk about that a little bit more than everything else. Shinsuke versus The Miz, Intercontinental title shot. Sammy will be out there. Don't really care. Think it's cool, though. Every title needs to be defended on the show. That's the thing.
Yeah. I don't know how they kind of set that one up. It was kind of just... I didn't really see...
They've kind of had a story going on for weeks with Miz and Shinsuke punking out... Shinsuke and Sammy punking out The Miz.
Right.
And whatnot. And I like the little tandem of Shinsuke and Sammy being his mouthpiece.
That's awesome.
I've been really enjoying that. I think Shinsuke wins here.
Yeah.
I think it's just the beginning of like an angle where it comes between Miz and Shinsuke kind of... I don't know. I think Miz is just kind of a person they put him against.
Yeah.
Miz has really fallen since his feud with Shane.
He hasn't done anything.
He had the feud with Shane, and then after that, he's just kind of been...
Well, he's doing a show too, right?
I guess so. But I like the Miz, man. There's a point in the last 3-4 years, I think this guy could be WWE champion again.
Yeah.
Kind of doesn't feel like that right now. Hope we get back to that, though. He's talented. Mike, he's good on the mic. He's one of those guys, he might not be like the most technically sound wrestler. He's not like a Kenny Omega or like a Bret Hart or something. Sure. But he gets you so invested in his character and his stories when it matters.
And that's what matters, right?
Yeah, and that makes the matches better. Because you're into the story. He knows how to get you into the story, and you're like, oh, I enjoyed that Miz Ziggler match. I enjoyed that Miz Daniel Bryan match because you're so into the story.
For sure.
That's one thing about the Miz that I can say. Then I talked about this a little bit earlier, the New Day versus the Revival. Tag team titles. Let's put this together. We'll put the New Day and the Revival and Kofi Kingston and Randy Orton. Let's talk about both those at the same time. How are you feeling? Because the Kofi Orton feud I've been enjoying. Yeah. The callback at Smackdown this week with they're doing the little same segment they did in 2009 with Kofi jumping on Orton on the table. That was cool. I enjoyed that. I wanted them to do that. I remember thinking about that like weeks. I'm like, that'd be cool if they went back to the Garden, and that's what they did. And that's what they did. Yeah. But I have a theory behind these two matches. What do you feel?
I think...
Oh, and back to the Shinsuke Miz, I go with Shinsuke.
Shinsuke as well.
Yeah, go ahead. But go back to that.
For some reason, I had Orton.
Yeah.
Maybe due to the Revival coming in.
And how do you feel about the Revival versus the New Day tag title match?
New Day hasn't done much.
Yeah.
They've kind of just...
And they've also been like off TV
exactly, been off
for
TV,
a couple of weeks because of the attacks.
Right. So I don't know how I feel about that one. That one's kind of... I left that one open too.
If you had to make a prediction though.
New Day.
Okay, so this is my theory, and I this is more me fantasy booking, so I could be wrong here. Okay, what I would like to see is I get that first thing is you beat Kofi, that's heat. Like you beat Kofi, he's like the babyface of babyface champions right now, like Kofi Mania, like that was a huge thing. And the New Day is a New Day. I could care less if the New Day are tag champions or not because they've won them so many times.
Exactly.
FTRKO, I'm with this, man. I'm with this Randy Orton
Revival.
Awesome.
I love it.
I'm with it. You know what I mean? And considering that the next pay-per-view is Hell in the Cell, I thought, why not piss everybody off? Let the Revival win the tag titles. Let Orton beat Kofi. Yeah. Let it be a thing. Let these guys stand tall. This is not going to be a faction that's going to be together forever. Let's be honest. The Revival and the Orton will probably split after this storyline's over, and they're going to move on with their own separate things. But since we have it right now, let these guys win all the titles. Let them piss everyone. Let's mix it up a little bit. Because Kofi retaining and then moving on to the next guy, what does that do for Orton? It doesn't do anything for anybody. No, But if the Revival and Orton guys win, and now I need you to remember that match a couple of years ago, the Usos and the New Day in Hell in the Cell. What a good match that was, right? Those 2-on-2 Hell in the Cell match. Trust me, it was I think it was 2017. It was really, really good. Imagine we go to Hell in the Cell. And for the first time in years, we have 6 people in the cell. Yeah. And it's FTRKO versus the New Day. Hell in the Cell. Winner takes all.
That'd be cool.
And then the New Day wins everything back.
How long do you think they can go with that for?
What do you mean?
All the gold on New Day.
I don't know, but I think I do think people want that. Okay. But I think if I had Kofi and the New Day win here and then go do that and then they still win again, I don't care. That doesn't do anything for me. But if Orton guys win everything and then they have to win it back.
Yeah, something along the lines of that switches it up
and we need something to happen. Like if it just goes straight to we're going Hell in the Cell now it's Orton. And I don't want to see just Orton and Kofi in Hell in the Cell again. Yeah. I don't want to see like, I don't know, Eric Rowan versus Kofi in Hell in the Cell or even Roman versus Kofi in Hell in the Cell. I want to see like guys, like, because if you remember that Usos and the New Day, like the New Day got like aggressive with kendo sticks and everything in that match. I'm like, we could do that again, the Cell. And then I'm like, who's more sadistic than Randy Orton?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For
like,
sure.
And then put him with a Revival. And he's making them sadistic. He's making them all sadistic and vicious. And one Hell in the Cell, and it's the New Day versus the Revival and Randy Orton. 6 guys in the Cell. Winner takes all. Goes all over the place.
That would be interesting. I think that they need to do some sort of switch, whether it be one or the other.
I know. I just mean like you switch all of them on this show, and then you have Orton guys going in there being like, you know, Kofi Kingston challenges them like, I want my belt back, and Orton's like, Hell in the Cell, and like, you know, they'll talk. They talk about how they were successful in Hell in the Cell. Orton talked about how he's been in more Hell in the Cells than anybody.
Right.
You know, which probably isn't true, but he's been in more than them.
Right.
And I just think that's the money idea. And if anyone's listening that's on the writing team out there, that's the money idea, guys. Pitch that to Vince. I don't know. Maybe people will like it, but I think 6 guys, Hell in the Cell, winner takes all. You want to make, because think of Kofi's defenses. It's not been like memorable. Yeah. His stuff with Ziggler wasn't memorable. This Orton matches are good, but are they really memorable? 6 guys, Hell in the Cell, memorable. That'll something that'll stick out. And the switch has to happen. Orton guys need to walk in as champions. Yeah. If the New Day walks out, because you need to have an end. Exactly. On a happy note, I think. Yeah. So fair. And that's my take on those 2 matches. So who's your Orton and the Revival? Orton and the Revival. Okay. Yeah. Drew Gulak versus Humberto and Lince Dorado for the Cruiserweight title. We probably should have talked about this one first. I think the reign of Gulak continues. Yeah, Gulak still. I think they've the whole Humberto's been kind of making some noise now. Yeah, no, for sure. But not like enough. Yeah, exactly. I think he might, like I used to say about certain Gulak months ago. I'm like, eventually he'll be Cruiserweight champion. Yeah. Eventually Humberto will be Cruiserweight champion. Lince Dorado, Grand Metal. I still think Lucha House Party. I don't know why they separated. I haven't been watching enough of that. But yeah, Gulak. Bayley versus Charlotte Flair. Let's talk about those 2 together really quickly. Bayley versus Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch. We're back to the 4 horsewomen. Mm-hmm. We're back. I love it. After all these Ronda Rouseys and Nia Jaxes, Alexa Blisses, and all these people that have been around the Naomi's, and we're back to the 4 horsewomen. Yeah. We're back to Charlotte. Exactly. Becky, Sasha, and Bayley. And before we make our predictions and talk about the matches, I just want to do something fun that I'm always curious. Like, if you had to rank the 4 horsewomen from your favorite, from most favorite to least favorite, my favorite is instantly Sasha Banks. Okay, well, Sasha Banks is my favorite there. Bayley's last. Yeah, same. Those 2 are the same there. So we have the same there. Because my salsa. That's how it all started. Because I butchered her name one time and I said salsa, and then I keep calling her Salsa Banks ever since. And then people get so mad. Like, why do you call it? That's so cringe. Like, some people get the inside joke and they'll be like, oh, salsa, and they'll start commenting on themselves. And I honestly, like, I'd write like essays about Sasha Banks and I'd throw in salsa like every second or third time. Just so someone would be like, why are you saying that? And then because they said that, like, I just wanted that reaction, so it became a thing. And now it's this thing, all because I by accidentally said salsa one time instead of Sasha. Like, I was like, well, how did you come up with that? What does it mean? I'm like, it means nothing. Yeah. It was a mispronunciation that became a thing. Someone made it something else. Yeah, but anyways, Sasha would be my number 1, and Bayley would be my last one too. The second 2 was where things got mixed up. For me, it's Charlotte, then Becky. Exactly. Oh, so we have the same order. Yeah, I like Charlotte. I don't know. Some people don't like Charlotte. I can't see. I don't like Becky, and I don't like Becky, but I just some people don't like Charlotte because I don't know. I think she's given me some of the most consistent matches and been the most consistent character. Like, she has everyone has slip ups, right? Like, as you saw on Monday. No, everybody does though. Exactly. Seth Rollins does. He's like Owens does. Everybody does. You know, like the best have. I just. She's created an aura around her, though. It's kind of like you want to. At least I do. I want to watch her match. Sure, like, and she's the bar, dude. She's the measuring stick. If you're gonna make a name for yourself in the division, you have to go through Charlotte Flair. Exactly. You know, that's the way I see it. Like, she's the only like major star they have in that women's division. That's like top star. Yeah. That's not a knock on Becky or Sasha or Bayley. They're all right there too. But like Charlotte's like, 1, she's Ric Flair's daughter. Yeah. 2, she's she's just a top star. Like, I don't know how to describe it. No, that's true. I think with Becky though, Becky's getting there. She's getting there. This run, and that's the thing with Becky. Like, I've always liked Becky. Yeah. The reason why she's 3rd for me is that I've liked Becky more in this recent incarnation. Okay. I liked her before too, but like I've liked her a lot more in this recent incarnation. Like, I've always liked Sasha since NXT Day 1. I've always liked Charlotte. I'm the same way. So when they got called up, I was like Sasha Banks. It's not that I haven't always liked Becky. It's just Becky has never. Like until now, she's never like been that Charlotte Sasha to me.
Becky, I liked her more when she was chasing.
So that's my point. When we get to Sasha, like the prediction too, though. Like I want Becky to lose.
Oh, so do I.
Because one, Sasha's hot as hell right now coming back. She's hot. Like the strike while the iron's hot. Like all the momentum's behind her.
Exactly.
She's top heel. She's brought in life back to the division. Because after WrestleMania, the division, both SmackDown and Raw, the division's been kind of lifeless.
Yep.
The whole Becky Lynch, Lacey Evans thing was okay. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't like oh my god, I can't, you know. And then on the SmackDown side, I really don't even know what's been going on.
All I know is it's Bayley, and I can't. I don't
even remember who she beat for the title.
Yeah, honestly.
Charlotte? Did she beat Charlotte?
I don't remember.
Or she beat Becky. She beat Becky, and then because of Lacey.
And then right, okay. I can't remember
because Becky had to do double duty, and she lost to Bayley because of Lacey, and then Becky beat Lacey.
Right. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
But Bayley's just there's nothing there.
There hasn't been for years. Her whole time on the main roster has sucked. Her association with Sasha Banks brought Sasha Banks down in my mind.
That's true though, because when you and I was hoping, I think you mentioned this on a couple weeks ago.
I mention it all the time.
That having them together, like you don't want that.
Yeah, I got scared at first. Devin wouldn't let me finish. I'm like, I got scared at first, but once Bayley turned heel, I was like, okay, maybe I can get behind this. Let's see how it goes. I just because my initial feeling was like the whole time prior to Bayley coming to the main roster, Sasha was the shit.
Yep.
Bayley came up, she started helping Bayley win belts. She was just teaming with Bayley. It was all about Bayley. We got a few moments where Sasha felt important again when they won the women's tag titles. That felt important. When she fought Ronda at Royal Rumble, that felt like Sasha was important again. We had brief moments of and that shows you that Sasha can feel important real fast if you let her feel important. But every time she was with Bayley, they didn't feel important.
It never did. I never. There wasn't a memorable. Well, there's obviously memorable matches, but whenever I think of Sasha, it's always her solo.
On top. Yeah.
It's never with Bayley.
Yeah.
And even with Bayley, every time I think of Bayley, I think of, you've seen Napoleon Dynamite, Deb.
Yeah.
The girl with the ponytail on the side of her. That's every time I see Bayley, that's what I think of, right?
Yeah.
And I can't get that out of my head. So I can't see it.
And it's like, I don't hate Bayley. One of my favorite women's, I think she's a tremendous wrestler. One of my favorite women matches of all time is Bayley versus Sasha Banks in NXT Brooklyn. That literally, but her whole main roster run, she's felt so insignificant. So like her characters, like what is her character? Like, she hugs people. I don't
even
get
the
it.
whole heel turn that they tried.
Yeah, the first time.
I'm talking about now.
Oh, now, yeah.
If you watch this week,
it's so confusing.
I don't know what was happening.
Oh, I'm just trying to be a loyal friend. I'm not a bad person.
Yeah.
And it's so weird because like the way they're paired off, like Sasha and Charlotte come off as natural heels. They both make better heels. Yeah. I hate thinking Charlotte as a babyface. It's good, it works, but I'd prefer her as a heel. And I've always preferred Sasha as a heel. I feel like Corey Graves' commentary explains it the best. When Sasha's a heel, she's being her true self.
For sure.
The whole time she's being a babyface, just wait.
Yeah.
She's this all phony because that's how it feels.
Yeah.
Sasha's being phony when she's a babyface. When she's a heel, that's her true colors. Yeah. But it's so weird because Becky and Bayley come off as natural babyfaces. They come off better as good people. So it's weird that Sasha's paired with Bayley and Charlotte's paired with Becky when it shows how like opposites attract. You know, like Charlotte's a bad person, Becky's a good person, but somehow they're friends. They got this weird friendship.
I know.
Sasha's a bad person, but Bayley's a good person. Then somehow they have this weird friendship.
I guess there's that too. I've honestly for the women's division, I know with the whole Rousey, she kind of propped it up.
Yeah.
And then she was gone. You kind of see like that little in between period. But now that Sasha's back, like I actually am excited. Yeah,
because after Rousey, they didn't like build anyone. Then Nia got injured. Alexa kind of took a step back because she couldn't wrestle for a bit. And then when she finally started wrestling, they kind of, they know when to. Because out of those four women that we're talking about right now, Alexa Bliss, maybe Natty are like the only two established people doing stuff right now.
Yeah.
That are like, you can kind of put them in wherever and it'll work. You know what I mean?
Because Natty's already done it.
Yeah, Natty's like the vet.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And then Alexa's like from this era, like an established star. You can put them in any place and it'll work. Yeah. Other than that, it's these four because you can put Ember there. I don't care about Ember. You put Lacey Evans there, okay, whatever. You know what I mean? Like nobody's really.
I like Lacey Evans.
No, I like her too, but I like her character.
Yeah.
Her in-ring
work, I guess, because she got called up really quick, no?
Yeah.
So I think that could have waited.
They should have left her in NXT for a bit.
Exactly.
But I guess they needed her. I don't know. Anyways, point being. I think Sasha needs to win.
Sasha's gonna win.
Becky needs to chase. It's funner when Becky's chasing.
Always
and a
exciting.
heel Sasha champion. And Sasha deserves like a longer reign than one defense. Like she deserves a proper reign.
Absolutely.
And this is the time she's smoking right now. Unfortunately, on that note, I think Bayley retains against Charlotte because we're gonna have Bayley and Sasha both be holding the belts, and then winner takes all in Hell in the Cell. I'm joking. Tag team winner takes all in Hell in the Cell. I'm joking.
They are in North Carolina though.
Oh, yeah.
It's hometown.
Maybe Charlotte wins it back then.
Hometown.
I don't want to see Charlotte turn babyface, and I like her. Like, I'm glad that they did this little like the tag team match on Raw. We'll just mix it up. The tag team match on Raw was fun.
It was cool.
It was really good.
That was a really good match.
I enjoyed it. It's because I like all four of them as wrestlers.
Yes.
And in the traditional mindset of me, thinking that the fact that Charlotte and Becky won that match means they won on the go home show, meaning the Sasha and Bayley are gonna get the wins back at the pay per view. Usually, the last person to laugh at the go home show in a traditional mindset is the one that loses at the pay per view.
Using that analogy, you're gonna see Orton win then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a traditional old school booking mindset of like the 80s. If the heel gets a last laugh, the babyface is going over at the pay per view. But that's not always the case now. But if that was the case, and it makes sense that Bayley and Sasha would be going over this Sunday.
I just hope Sasha wins.
I don't really care if Bayley or Charlotte how that goes. I want Bayley to win because I think it's with what they're doing, having Sasha and Bayley both as champions. Think about it, because like kind of what the story is like Sasha and Bayley were going after the tag titles and doing all this stuff, and at that same time they were doing all this stuff trying to make the tag division matter and stuff. Becky and Charlotte were main eventing WrestleMania with Ronda Rousey, and that didn't sit well. Maybe it didn't. Bayley was kind of okay with it. That did not sit well with Sasha. She thought she should be in the main event. She thought her and Bayley should be in the main event, and now they're coming back to get what's theirs. And then Becky, if you look back at the history, like Becky's always been like the shadow behind Charlotte and Sasha Banks. Even when they had a triple threat at WrestleMania, it was more everyone was rooting for Sasha or Charlotte. No one was,
exactly.
There might have been people rooting for Becky, but she wasn't like at that point. She wasn't the Becky she is today.
That's why the whole chase is to get back to the chase
and the feud between Charlotte and Sasha will always go down in the history books as iconic. Like I don't care what anybody says. Like it's always gonna be a legendary feud. And I think Becky has that bitterness of like, now I'm the man. You guys can take a step back to Charlotte and to Sasha.
Right.
And that's why she's like, you're the greatest wrestler and I'd be great. I'm great now. But now it's like, oh, how great would it be if Sasha just knocked Becky off her throne? I was like, nah. You're still the sidekick. You're still the sidekick chick. And then Becky has to ignite that fire again to be like, no, I'm coming after you. Like, no, I'm not. That's a story.
How we built around that, that would be cool to see.
Sasha beat her, the girl that she thought she overcame and got out of the shadow of. And Sasha's like, nah, I'm the champ. I was over there trying to win the tag titles and doing stuff for Bayley, but I'm back for my crown. And now Becky's like, no, I'm the man. Like, you can't know. And coming after it again. And like, that's a story. Like, if somebody could tell these stories like that on television, maybe people would be more invested in the program.
For sure.
Because that's the story.
Yeah, that's the story.
That's because go all the way back to NXT. Becky was Sasha's sidekick at one point.
Yeah.
Becky never won the NXT championship. Becky never did all these things. Becky wasn't the first ever Hell in the Cell. Becky was the first main event WrestleMania. Becky got it now. Let Sasha take that away from her.
Yeah. That'll build heat around it too.
And let Becky, because Becky as a champion does not have the same fire as Becky chasing the champion.
Absolutely not.
It's almost like she's become complacent and content.
It's kind of stale now.
Like she's peaked. She hit the spot.
Exactly.
Take it away from her. She has to get there again.
Yeah.
And again, someone like Sasha makes sense because now she's like, I'm better than Sasha now. I proved it. We're not going back to this. Let her lose her mind a little bit.
Exactly. For me, at least, I get tired of things really quickly.
Yeah.
So from WrestleMania to now, that's a long time.
5 months. 6.
WrestleMania.
Yeah. Like April, May, June, July, August. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, that's a long time.
It is. She should. I wanted her to drop the belt to Lacey just so to mix it up.
Exactly.
And it never happened. So Sasha's a way better option than Lacey. Way better.
Right.
Anyways, we should move on because we're stuck on these guys. And then we start talking about Sasha. I go on for like 20 minutes. We're pretty much down to the main events, man. Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman to defend the tag titles against Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. And then Seth Rollins versus Braun Strowman. Let's just pair them together because they're probably going to happen either separately or back and forth. Definitely think they're dropping the tag titles.
Yeah, Roode and Ziggler are going to take
Roode and Ziggler are taking the tag titles. That's going to cause tension between Braun and Seth.
That's going to lead into the
And then, honestly, like, I don't care either way this goes. Like, I love Seth Rollins. He's my favorite, like, male wrestler on the roster today. But it hasn't been doing it for me for, like, 2 years, man.
What do you think of Braun?
I think they dropped the ball. He should have won the belt in 2017.
I haven't.
Like, if he wins now, do I care?
Time. I can't get
Do I care if he wins now? Do you care if he wins now?
To me, that whole match, that doesn't matter to me. For me, it's, I guess the coolest part was when AJ inserted himself into that.
Well, I initially said that after Seth was done with Baron, and another point, I don't understand why Baron Corbin versus Chad Gable isn't on this pay-per-view. There's way too many titles because the King of the Ring final should be on the pay-per-view, but that's fine. But anyways, and it's King Baron. We agree? That's King Baron. If Chad Gable does it, I don't know. I don't get that.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. But anyways, with Seth and Braun, Seth needs to win because he's a champ, and I think he just needs to keep running with the belt for a bit. Braun, if he won, I wouldn't be against it, but I just don't care. I initially thought my point was that after the whole Baron thing ended with Baron Corbin, I thought Seth was going to move on to AJ's, and after Seth beat Brock, at SummerSlam, I thought the next opponent for him would have been AJ Styles again, and it almost seemed like they were leading that way. And even at the contract signing, the first one with Michael Cole, I'm like, AJ's going to sign the contract and insert himself in the match.
Do you think Brock's going to come back?
No, not yet.
Well, they do have a show in Saudi Arabia coming, don't they?
I love how that's why we think Brock's going to come back.
That's
not yet. Okay. Maybe after this show. No, I don't want to see Brock and Seth again. I also don't want to see Brock versus Braun again. Like, I just don't care.
I don't care either.
Either one of those matches.
That's so true. I think Seth takes it.
And every time I've never wanted to see Seth versus Brock, but every time they've done better than I expected. Because SummerSlam was a great match.
The last one was really good.
It was really good.
SummerSlam was really good.
But I don't want to see it again.
For this one, I don't know.
I'm going to go with Seth because I just want him to stay champion.
Yeah, over Braun at least.
Yeah. Because Braun being champion, Seth's going to chase the title again? I don't even want Seth to chase yet.
Neither do I.
And I don't want him to chase Braun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I can't get behind Braun. I just can't get it.
No, I was behind it.
A couple years ago, that was different.
So bad. They killed it.
And they had a chance. But
he should have beat Brock.
He should have. Absolutely. And it just never happened.
Even if Brock got his win back and we still ended up where we are today, like, he still should have beat Brock at some point when he was hot.
Yeah.
I don't know who he pissed off.
He did something wrong somewhere.
I just don't get it, but I'm going to go with Seth. I think if they build Braun back up one day, then because they did that weird thing when the Shield got back together and they randomly turned Braun heel and then put him with Ziggler and McIntyre, and since then I just feel like I haven't cared about Braun the same way.
I haven't cared about Braun since last year, honestly.
Brutal. And they didn't do enough this whole week to, like, let's be honest, if you're going to have a go-home show, like, I don't know, they spend a lot of shows on the road to pay-per-views, like, doing random stuff like Stone Cold. And I love Stone Cold. Yeah. That was a highlight of Raw. And it was my prediction for that, Seth Rollins. Let's talk about Raw really quickly. Yeah. The highlight has to be Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stunning.
Absolutely.
AJ Styles, the beer bash at the end.
Mm-hmm. I think, the opener in the beginning, that was awesome. That the MSG crowd is crazy.
No, I'm glad they went back to the Garden. I just wish they could do more. I wish that they...
Well, now what? Home is Brooklyn, no?
I guess so. Well, I'm sure. I hope they go back to the Garden because it's on my list to go to a WWE show in the Garden. I've only gone to Ring of Honor in New Japan this past April. That was the only,
you went to that?
Yeah, that was the only Madison Square Garden show I've ever gone to. But I'm like, who goes to Madison Square Garden and doesn't go to a WWE show?
Exactly.
Like, it's sure. Whether it's a live show or Raw, SmackDown, like, I definitely want to go. It was good. It was nice to see him back in MSG.
It was it was loud though, really loud when he first came in.
I wish they made it like the last couple times they've gone MSG for Raw, like they made the set different, like the smaller set or something. I just wish they made it look different, like
a throwback type of thing.
I kind of wish they made it look different a little bit though. That's the only thing.
As a special thing.
It was nice having Austin there. I think the whole Austin, it's crazy how one guy's presence is like more important than anybody else in the roster currently.
You know what? I'm never opposed to seeing Austin on TV.
Yeah,
but they've been doing it often lately. But you can also pair that with his new show.
Yeah.
Right? So you can kind of see that happen.
Well, this I think was more because the new show, because it's right after Raw.
Exactly. You got to think about it. The last couple of months, they had the reunion.
The Raw reunion,
right?
Yeah.
They've had Austin, he had a Skype show a couple weeks back, right?
Talking about stuff.
Right. So you're going to see if that's common, it won't be as much of an attraction maybe. But again, for people like me, I'm going to watch it no matter what.
Life for Seth Rollins must be great because the Raw reunion, he did the whole thing with DX, and then this show, he gets to do the whole thing with Austin.
Yeah.
What a good couple of months for that guy, for a guy that grew up as a fan. It's never like when that glass shattered, dude. Like the hype's there. Even like the new fans get it. Austin's
exactly.
Then that makes me wonder, like, will there ever be a star as big as Stone Cold from this era? Like,
well, you had Cena a couple years. Well,
yeah, but that's Cena. I mean, in this era.
No, I don't see it.
Like, have they built anyone to feel that way? Like, nobody feels that way. Is Becky Lynch supposed to feel that way? Because she doesn't. I get they try to push that.
Yeah.
The video game commercial, I'm like, oh, this is the man. These are the man now. Like, who's the man? Like, no, man, it doesn't feel that way.
It doesn't at all. There's no one with that same presence and that kind of that kind of draws you towards them. Like when The Rock, you had a bunch of stars back in the day that kind of made you want to tune in. Like, okay, this guy's gonna be this. It's gonna happen. This is gonna be that.
It felt like they need to have Austin and Taker on these shows to sell the tickets because, like,
but there's no point.
because there's nobody really selling the shows anyways.
Especially with Undertaker.
That sounds so mean, but that's just how I feel. Well, the Taker segment was bad. If they went, because on the Firefly Funhouse on Raw, another thing I want to point out is why wasn't he on Raw or SmackDown Live at all? I know he came on after SmackDown went off the air and beat up the B Team, and that was even after 205 Live, so half the people already left the arena.
Right.
Like they had the Fiend come out and attack.
It was
Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, but like, why don't you put that on TV on the MSG shows? Like, don't get me wrong, I love a Firefly Funhouse as much as the next person, but why wasn't he attacking someone? Why didn't he attack Austin?
He's been on a roll lately.
And I love that he teased that, why didn't we attack Austin? The clock's at 3:16. Then he smashed the clock, and then it's at 11:19. Which is November 19th, 1990 was the day The Undertaker made his debut at Survivor Series.
Yeah.
That's what the cryptic thing that everyone got from it.
After Monday, that's what everyone assumed.
I've assumed this since like 3 months ago. I've been saying I want to see Undertaker.
Oh, I want to see the Fiend. I want
the Fiend to beat The Undertaker once. Bray deserves to beat The Undertaker.
You know what, though? And
I know a lot of people are like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Why do you want to see them? They're like, the last match wasn't even that good. Bray went into that WrestleMania match with a shattered ankle.
Yeah.
He broke his ankle or something like 2 days before WrestleMania.
Wasn't that the WrestleMania after Roman?
After Brock already beat him. So the streak was done.
Streak was already done?
Yeah, the streak was already done.
Okay. Well, yeah, at that point, but that was then. That was Bray
different
Wyatt.
Bray, yeah.
This is the Fiend.
That's what I mean, and it's a different character. It's a whole different thing now, and I'm like, and I always felt like they never gave Bray that win over The Undertaker, and I know people like it doesn't matter. For me, it matters. Like if he's calling himself the new face of fear, let him beat the old one.
For sure, absolutely. I think it has. I don't know. Like I guess it has to happen for me.
Yeah.
I'd want to see it.
I want to see it for sure,
especially after that SummerSlam. That was amazing.
And this is the Bray to do it with, and I know he's going to Hell in the Cell to face. And that's what he's been teasing. Whoever wins between Bray, and that's a cool thing actually. Now that I think about it, whoever wins between Seth and Braun, they're going to face Bray.
And
Hell in the Cell.
But do you think? I don't think he could win right away.
That's the thing. So how do you make him lose? The Undertaker.
Right.
That's my theory. That's what I think.
Yeah.
How would you make him lose? The Undertaker. Yeah. Why? I don't know. Why does he attack anyone?
No, that's so true. I don't.
And then you go to Survivor Series and you have Bray versus The Undertaker.
That's what I would want to see. That's what I would want to see. I want to see Bray versus Undertaker. Yeah. Fiend. I would see.
Because how do you have Bray lose though? That's right. Like you want him to take him.
You can't have him lose, or you just don't have him. You have him.
The match doesn't finish.
Yeah, something like that.
Or are we having like a triple threat somehow, and he doesn't take the fall?
And
Braun versus Seth versus the Fiend in the Cell.
We'll see Monday.
Maybe he's not even going to face the champion in the Cell. Maybe he's just teasing it and it's not really the case.
Well, they teased the whole 360 and Undertaker thing too.
Because you don't want to see the Fiend lose before he goes to face the Undertaker.
Absolutely not. You want that aura to stay behind.
They can somehow manage to have a triple threat in the Cell, then you have someone else take the fall, and then the Fiend doesn't actually take the fall, but he fights with the Undertaker.
They could do that.
Undertaker pulls him under the ring, takes him to hell.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I could see the three-way though, and having,
because both concepts are cool. Like seeing Seth and Bray will be a good match. Seth versus the Fiend. I don't want to see Seth curb stomp the Fiend and win though. No. And then Braun versus the Fiend is a cool story because Braun's one of Bray's OG guys. He's in that Harper, Eric Rowan, Braun Strowman original Wyatt family.
So there's that story already built there.
And we've only had a few times where they've crossed paths was in a couple of Survivor Series matches where you're Bray's probably the only guy that can talk Braun down, you know?
Exactly.
He has that control over him. And that's a great thing. That's the thing that Bray's such a great character.
Amazing. And how he transitioned into what he's doing now, just when you think about it, when I was originally watching the Firefly Fun, I thought that was a joke.
Yeah.
But then a couple episodes after, you're like, whoa, this guy's really doing something there.
It has to happen, man. I think we're going to talk more about this next week because I know Devin wants to talk a lot about this Undertaker Fiend thing, and I'm going to break down into it. I think we covered a lot of what happened on Raw and SmackDown as we're doing our predictions, which is great. I just quickly, before we call it quits, what the hell is going on in New Japan, man? This is my biggest question that I have when it comes to New Japan, because this is what a lot of people, the perception of the world, because there's so much wrestling, dude. There's NWA having their TV show. There's Ring of Honor having their TV show. All Elite starting in October. NXT is going to be on prime time now. Raw, SmackDown. I know there's other companies. Impact's on Access now. There's all this wrestling on TV. Honestly, in an ideal world, we'd have the WWE and AEW and everybody working in both those companies, but we know that's not the case.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, I have some people that I really love to see in AEW that work in Impact. A lot of people I love to see in AEW, WWE that work at Ring of Honor. The biggest question I have in mind the biggest thing is that New Japan Pro Wrestling was hot for a stretch of years. Like 2000, from when I feel like I started watching it in 2014, 2013 to now, they've been on fire. They sold out that Madison Square Garden earlier this year with that Ring of Honor New Japan Super Show, but I feel like a lot of that had to do with the Elite being initially promoted about that show as well.
Yeah.
How is New Japan Pro Wrestling doing without the Elite now? They lost Kenny Omega,
I would say
they lost the Bucks, they lost Cody Rhodes, they lost all that Elite stuff, and now they're using what they have. Like, how is it going?
Well, because I told you when I subscribed to New Japan Pro, originally it was the whole. I saw the last Wrestle Kingdom with Omega.
Yeah, and Jericho.
Yeah. No, sorry, with the latest one.
Okay.
When Omega's last match.
Yeah. Who do you face? I watched it. I watched the whole thing. Was it Naito and Jericho this year?
That was
this year.
That was this. Yeah, and then he won the championship.
No, he lost it to Naito.
He lost it to Naito, and then
Omega faced.
I'm pretty sure it was Okada.
Did he face Okada again? I don't think he faced Okada again.
I can't remember.
Oh, let me double check. But anyways, how's New Japan? Like, who's the top guys now? Like, what's going on in New Japan?
Well, G1 just finished.
Who won the G1?
Kota Ibushi.
Oh, Bushi won. So, okay. So, they still... This is the thing I want to say. Because when I went to this Ring of Honor New Japan show, obviously, the Bucks and Kenny Omega all weren't going to be there. But I'm like, they got so much talent there still. Okada, Ibushi, now Kenta's there. They're doing the stuff with Shibata that got me really excited because he was one of my favorites. Yeah. You got Switchblade. You got El Phantasmo's over there. They still got a solid roster. Will Ospreay's trying to step up. Yeah. You know? Naito's obviously still there.
He's always there, yeah.
And they're trying to do the stuff with Sonata now, I heard.
Yes, well, he beat Okada.
Like, that's
huge.
A big deal, man. And they're trying to make him like another one of the big stars. Like, they're trying to rebuild New Japan with what they still have.
Well, you've had Tanahashi and then you've had Okada. Like, they've been like the stars.
Right? And Tanahashi and Naito's been someone that stepped up a lot in the past like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. And he's been involved in a lot of that too. Well, leading into next year, the next Wrestle Kingdom is going to be over 2 days.
Is it?
Yeah, it's going to be on the 4th and 5th.
Because I feel like they've lost so much. Like, that's the thing. Because I think in a casual fan's mind, like me, they lost so much talent when all these guys left to AEW and this and that. But I know they still have the partnership with Ring of Honor. So they can use guys like Lethal and Tavern and Marty Scurll guys and stuff for the time being.
You could kind of...
It was Omega and Jericho again. Oh, wait, this is the year before.
I'm talking about 2019.
Yeah, this is 2018 was the next one.
Because that was when Jericho first came.
Yeah.
And then he went to...
Tanahashi versus Omega.
Tanahashi, yeah.
Yeah, and it was Omega calling Tanahashi and the old dog, and he's a young guy, and can Tanahashi beat Omega, and he beat him, and that was like Omega's farewell
last match.
And then it was Jay White versus Okada, because I remember really liking that match. And then Naito and Jericho. Yeah, this was a solid Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah, but this was like the last Wrestle Kingdom. Look at the top of the card. It's Naito versus Jericho. Is Jericho still going to be working New Japan by next year's Wrestle Kingdom? Is he still going to be allowed to? Is there a deal there? I don't know.
Him, Moxley, and Omega have it in their contracts that they are allowed to. Whether they do or not, that's
and then Tanahashi totally and like Omega, like that's a big deal. The Bucks had a spot on this card. I know that. Like, they still. I don't know.
Still have. Here's the thing. They still have a lot of stars.
They do.
They do. It's just people aren't aware of who they are.
Yeah.
And because the Elite left doesn't mean that the whole...
And I think people felt like once the Elite left, like New Japan, I was like, oh, all the good guys left. I don't feel that way. There. I'm not saying I feel that way. I just know there's a portion of fans.
Oh, no, for sure. Like, and a lot of people stopped tuning in.
Yeah.
You know, they just followed the Elite, and they followed New Japan, but now they're following AEW.
Yeah.
You know?
So do you think AEW hurt New Japan? Do you think it's a chance for New Japan to rebuild?
I don't... It's a chance for New Japan to create new stars.
Yeah. Which it seems like they're doing.
They're just doing that now.
With the Ospreys, with the
some people don't like Jay White, though.
Why? And you know what? That's another thing. He's very polarizing.
I like him.
I like him, too. A lot of people don't.
I don't know
why. A lot of people that don't like him. I don't understand.
He's one of those guys, it's like, you can hate him.
Yeah.
You can actually hate him.
One of my boys is there, too, like El Phantasmo, and I know he's killing in that light heavyweight division and stuff.
He just won the Super J.
Did he?
Yeah.
El Phantasmo did?
Yeah, a BC boy.
Shout out El Phantasmo, my boy.
That was in Tacoma.
Love you, brother. Damn, I did not know that happened. I'm sorry. I should probably say congratulations. It's probably really late. Shout out to El Phantasmo, man. Riley, he's a G, man. Really good guy. He was on one of my early podcasts back in the day when I tried doing the Wrestling Classic podcast alone. I'm really happy for him. That's wow.
Awesome.
See how out of touch I am? This is why I wanted you to come on here, because I don't know these things.
Yeah.
I didn't even know who won the G1. I forgot.
Yeah.
That's so Ibushi's facing Okada at Wrestle Kingdom. That's a huge match.
It is. I think just this morning I was reading from Meltzer.
Yeah, Meltzer.
Yeah, it's over the 2 days. What the word is that they were going to do the Okada versus Ibushi, and then the winner of that would be
Okada versus whoever versus Naito
for the Intercontinental. So one guy would hold the 2 titles.
That's insane.
Which would be like the first time ever.
Yeah.
Probably as a way to like splash, like, okay, like, this is new.
I feel
this
like
is
they're just
happening.
gonna throw everything on Okada.
They could.
How was Moxley in New Japan? I didn't watch any of the G1. Like, how was his performance? How was he there?
Was awesome. In the first, I think 6, he was like undefeated for the first little bit.
Yeah.
Like 5-0 or something. And then you can kind of see like the whole
downward spiral.
Yeah, downward spiral. And that's kind of what, a couple of shockers, like everyone's pick 'em, like mine, I was totally off.
Yeah.
Like I was.
Who was the first one to beat him?
Wasn't it?
I wasn't watching, so you're supposed to know.
I think it was him. It was I think it was like a count out or something like really dumb like that.
Damn.
It was interesting though, because the way that the whole storyline behind Moxley and him coming in and being so strong, and then just the way his downward spiral was, that was cool to see. But he had some really good matches.
He did, man. And then I heard another standout was Lance Archer. Lance Archer, is that how you say it?
So he's I
just remember as Lance Hoyt, but
yeah. So exactly, yeah. So he's the first night was at Dallas, and he beat Ospreay.
Yeah, I heard he was a standout. Like, people were like surprised
hometown,
with his
right?
performance.
And I guess the head clamp thing.
Yeah,
that's something that the Von Erichs did.
Yeah,
and
the claw.
Yeah, the claw.
Yeah,
and the Dallas thing.
I know my old school stuff. I love my old school stuff.
Commentary, I picked it up on that. Yeah, but that Dallas show was really good. Archer was good. Shingo Takagi was
how's Davey Boy Smith Jr. doing over there?
He's not in.
I know he wasn't in, but like, is he not wrestling there no more?
Him and Archer were partners.
Yeah, they were the Killer Elite Squad.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. Yeah.
Well, he's at.
I know he's killing it at MLW. Like,
awesome.
Do
you watch it?
Yeah, I watch MLW.
So good.
That's another thing. So I forgot to mention them earlier. It's another show that you can. There's so much wrestling.
So much content. It's just hard to kind of focus on what you want to watch.
It's hard.
It's hard.
And I expect different things from everybody.
Yeah.
Like we talked about this earlier in the podcast. Like, I expect entertainment and storylines and characters from the WWE. I expect killer wrestling from New Japan. I don't even know what I expect from All Elite Wrestling yet.
It's hard because you can't really
I expect good wrestling and characters, and I expect everything from All Elite.
And the good thing about them is they have so much. Well, there's a lot of expectation behind them. They think they're gonna be like the best. And the weirdest thing is people are saying like, oh, they're gonna put them out of business and this and that. Yeah. But why can't they be both? Why can't they coexist?
No, exactly. I think everyone can watch a little bit of everything. That's the best thing about this.
So
it's the best time to be a wrestling fan. There's so much to watch.
Amazing. There's so much going on right now.
Ospreay, I remember I watched a couple of promos of Ospreay after, I think it was before the G1, where he was talking about why it can't like super junior weights or whatever they're called, the wrestle with the heavyweights and this and that, and he wants to he's really determined to make a big splash in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Has he been doing that?
Good show.
Because I have like a very love-hate for Will Ospreay.
Really?
I think he's good.
Okay.
I think he's too much sometimes.
Fair.
You know?
Like in the ring or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't hate him whatsoever. He's not my cup of tea all the time. When he gets too flippy and too, I'm like,
There's a lot of those like the spot fest matches.
Yeah.
I guess that you could kind of do it with.
I enjoy them, but it's not my type of wrestling.
Really good. Like his match with
Ibushi
and Okada.
Yeah.
That was a really good match.
I've had to see like if you can recommend like a match.
I made a list. I really made a list.
Oh. Let's use your list. The list of Ankit.
Where is it? It's not here. I had a list. It's my other sheet. I started a bunch of matches on there. I'll show you a little after, but Shingo Takagi.
Well, that would be nice if you had that here.
I have actually, you know what?
If you have the list of matches that people should watch from New Japan Pro Wrestling that you would recommend, I think that's something you should share before we go off the air.
That's fair.
If that's the last thing because if you're here to get people to watch New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ankit, because we talk about WWE every week, we talk about All Elite Wrestling. Why should people watch New Japan Pro Wrestling? Why and what are the matches you recommend people? This is your 5 minutes to talk because I talked a lot this episode.
Awesome. So
why should people watch New Japan Pro Wrestling and what are the matches you recommend? And if you want to mix them together, recommend the match and why?
Okay.
Take it away.
Tetsuya Naito, Shingo Takagi, that was a star match.
Why?
Shingo Takagi was just amazing. Naito won, but that was one of the matches that kind of you could see the kind of level of talent that Shingo Takagi has.
Yeah.
He was the junior heavyweight before this.
Yeah.
So he's like Will Ospreay. They're all the same
sort
of category, but breaking him out now. This is his first showing in like the big leagues, So these guys were all.
And what show was this? What was this on?
This is all G1. This is all G1.
This is all the G1 matches that people should watch.
Yeah, this is all G1.
Okay, guys. So all the G1 matches you guys should watch if you missed out, whether you have New Japan Pro World or whether you find a way to watch it.
Yep.
watch these matches.
Absolutely.
I'm not encouraging anything. I'm just saying if you need to just find a way to watch these matches. So that was the first match recommendation. What's the next one?
Sonata versus Okada.
Oh wow, that's a funky one.
Yeah, that was a good
They're
match.
both from my knowledge, because I'm a huge Okada fan and I've seen Sonata. They're both really good. Yeah. Take it away though.
That was just the whole match in general. You know how you kind of build up to a certain point.
Yeah.
Because the thing about New Japan is it's so unpredictable.
Yeah.
You know how WWE you can kind of predict, okay, this is gonna happen, that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
New Japan is not like that.
No,
you
not
really
like that.
Don't know what's gonna happen.
And it's not really storyline based.
It's not storyline based.
So it's really like almost what AEW wants to do. They want to make wins and losses matter, and that's what New Japan is.
Exactly, and the storylines are literally based off of the last match.
Yeah, it's based off matches.
And
the matches they tell stories in the matches, which gets you into the next matches.
And they lead you into something
They use
else.
the matches to tell their stories.
And that's why this past Sunday, Labor Day weekend, Royal Quest, the London show, that's where Sonata came out at the end.
Yeah.
And spoke to Okada and challenged him. So that's going to happen eventually somewhere down the line.
So watch this Okada Sonata match before you watch the next one.
Watch the G1 climax. Watch that one. And I think I already mentioned, the last one I had was the Okada Osprey match.
And that was on the G1?
That was also G1.
So Okada Osprey. And honestly, I think that would be, once again, I think that's a match I would probably enjoy, an Osprey match, because it's against someone like Okada. And I think he wrestles differently considering who he's wrestling, Osprey. That's the type of person he is. He's a chameleon.
He's a different kind of wrestler.
Yeah.
He's not someone that you can kind of, he's really good.
Yeah.
And some people consider him like the best in the world right now.
Yeah.
Right? To each their own. Everyone has their own opinion. I think he had a really strong appearance during the whole. He didn't win much.
Yeah, he was a strong favorite to win though. Anyways, I need to get you back on to talk about more in Japan. We talked way too much about growing up watching wrestling and the Clash of Champions predictions, but that's it for this week, guys. Where can they find you, Ankit, on social media or anything? I know you don't have Instagram. Nothing. So you can't find Ankit anywhere. If you want to hear from him ever again, it's probably going to be on this show. And if you have questions specifically for him about New Japan, you want to ask him some stuff, leave them in the comment section. I'll let him know, and then we'll have him back on here to answer them. Me, The Wrestling Classic. You can find the TWC Show on YouTube, Spotify, Google Play, and iTunes. I hope you guys all enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy Clash of Champions. We'll be back next week with our review. Dig it!